Welcome back to Applying Yourself, a law school admissions podcast. My name is Anna Donovan, and I am the Communications Program Manager at WashU Law. And back with me in the studio today is Naomi. Welcome back, Naomi.
Thank you so much. My name is Naomi Stewart. I serve as one of the directors in the admissions office at WashU Law. And today we have a really prescient topic about, while you wait for admissions decisions to come back, what are some things you can do?
Yes. We will maybe toggle back and forth on some of our maybe tips of what you can be doing if you're in the application pool. And also, this is season 2. So we're jazzed. I think going forward, going to have some topics related to decisions, visits, right today waiting, admitted students day, kind of the thick of the
your summer before law school.
Of being an applicant and potentially a law student for fall 2023. So the first thing we talked about before we started recording, many of our current applicants are still in school, still completing undergraduate programs. There may be some candidates completing graduate programs while they are applying to law school. Like, kudos to you all. That's a lot to take on. And so for, those of you out there who are still in school, and we want you to finish out this last semester really strong before graduating. You are so great and wonderful, and high GPA is, really great student organization experience and involvement on campus, and really just keeping that empowering through finishing strong till the end.
Absolutely. So you have worked very hard to get to this point, applying to law schools. You've heard decisions from some law schools, waiting on others. So keeping those grades strong, it is important, for your whole process, and you've worked so hard to get here. And also staying involved. You are embarking on this law school journey, and use it as like a networking opportunity with the student organizations you're in, maybe any employment or volunteerism that you do, letting them know, I'm going to law school. You never know where those connections, those, mentorship opportunities, those kinds of things can come up, and maybe it can lead to a summer job or part-time job working in a specific area, or kind of that can give you some experience before you start law school.
Yeah, you don't even know what, I guess, roommates or friends or people could be like, oh, my uncle is a lawyer. Oh, my mom is a lawyer. I, have these connections to this law firm. You should speak to so-and-so, and you can really use that to start building your network. That's something our career center talks about all the time, is how you can be creating your network now. Naomi, you want to hit the next topic?
And so for any student, whether you're still in school or out of school, and when you're in this sort of holding pattern waiting to hear back from law schools, you can be applying for outside scholarships. And so there are law school, graduate school scholarships available that are independent of any specific university, and you can be applying through the for those additional funds, because every little bit helps when paying for graduate school. So that is a great way to be spending this time as you're waiting.
Yeah, this is where I will plug LexisLex, I believe, is the resource housed with the LSAC, the Law School Admissions Council, and they kind of aggregate scholarships that candidates can apply for. For us specifically, we always get sent emails. There are local law firms that give these small scholarship awards. There are writing competitions. There are different things out there. Again, can cover books, can cover a month's rent, can cover groceries. It is these things that you'll need to have and do in law school. Researching those. If you have some free time, applying to those, because really, don't count yourself out. You can rack up some good scholarship money.
Absolutely. And the next item, it's a fun thing to do. It's a good thing to do. It's not a have to, and that is visiting law schools.
Yeah.
So the law schools you're interested in, you're probably culling down your list, looking at the schools you've gotten into and ones you're really hopeful to get into. Visiting is not necessary. It's no indicator of, candidacy, anything like that, but it can be really helpful for your own information. Mm-hmm. So, for a lot of people, a visit may not be feasible either with time or finance. But if it is a feasible thing and if it's something that you feel like could help you, plan a visit to some of the law schools you're looking at. And to kind of help pay for that too, you can always ask your law schools that you're looking at if they have any travel funds available. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. Sometimes it depends on the time in the cycle. Also, there's so many other things there. So don't be offended if they say like, oh,
right.
no, we're
All
not
you can
awarding
do is
right
ask.
now. But it's worth asking.
Absolutely. It
yes.
is. Us, like many other schools, look into it first about
Mm-hmm.
what sort of types of visit, what days they might offer visits. Yeah. And we are coming up on admitted student days. So,
yes.
if you've been admitted to schools, there are these kind of larger, robust programs
Mm-hmm.
and events. That could be something that you maybe kind of saving your money up to attend one of those. And I think it's really, you've done your research into, before you've decided to apply to these schools, but also if you've never been to this specific city before, can you picture yourself living here for 3 years and really get a sense of the space, the city, that I think can be really informative on making your final decision for law school.
And that can kind of bring it to like a next point of getting organized. So planning a visit is, a next step of, bringing the next step of going to law school closer and closer. But knowing your dates and starting to put together, what is it going to cost to live in this city? What if you've gotten into a specific law school or have a scholarship from a specific law school, what is sort of the cost benefit, working out your equations and figuring out those numbers. So it's really putting together all the pieces that you do have as you wait for an admissions decision or the pieces that you don't have. Because, as we get more into the cycle, when an admit decision, let's say it comes in a little bit later, you may need to act fast and you'll need to know kind of your thresholds for like, okay, this is a good next step and it meets all of my, requirements and needs. So getting organized and also knowing your dates.
Yes. This is really huge.
This is a biggie.
We talk about this all the time as Naomi and I are seasoned veterans, many, many cycles in doing law school admissions. And really we are talking about deposit dates. Every school, I think I almost mentioned this on every podcast, every school does things completely different. And while I would say, deposit deadlines are kind of maybe grouped together, each school has a different date, maybe a different time of day that you will need to secure your seat and scholarship. And that is just huge to make sure that you are reserving your seat at the school that you've been admitted to and want to attend in a timely manner. And so our hot tip here is, the schools you've applied to. And, even as you're waiting and you might not have gotten decisions, you can take 10 minutes. You can Google that school's deposit deadline and just add it to a little spreadsheet so that you know, if and when, if you get admitted. I think adding it to your phone, adding a phone alarm, and really just having those dates and times nailed down. We do see every year some candidates that miss deposit deadlines, and it's heartbreaking when those emails and calls come in. So you can try and avoid that now by setting yourself up for success and really doing your research as to when you need to commit to those schools. Is it one deposit? Is it maybe 2 deposits? What is the amount? And really just having reminders everywhere. And really, if you're waiting for admission from X school and you get in and you get a good scholarship offer, you can probably pay your deposit anytime leading up until that deadline.
It's just a deadline.
It's just a deadline. I know money, there's a monetary investment for deposits, but if you know that this is the school for you and this is your number one choice, you get in, you've crunched the numbers and you're going to make it work financially, you can pay that deposit. You can secure your seat and you can just have that be something that you're done with, and not like waiting till the last day.
Yes. So definitely getting organized, knowing your dates, and starting to put together sort of your metrics around making these decisions if it comes up that you need to make them quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Around attending school.
Kind of a little bit related to visiting, but, what does the cost of living in that city look like? Law schools all put out both, tuition and fees and a breakdown of what they consider your cost of living expenses to be, books, etc. Looking at those, that's, another part of the finances, not just, a merit and need-based kind of tuition scholarship, but what else you may be kind of funding for yourself, the breakdown of what that might look like. You should be thinking about these things early. It is a investment in yourself. Almost every single person comes out of law school with some amount of debt, and that's okay. But looking at what that could be for you, you're so excited when X school gives you the scholarship, but sort of what does the actual
What does it mean?
the 3-year amount of debt you might be taking on is something to look at as well.
Absolutely.
Naomi, do you want to talk a little bit about like continued interest
Yes.
and staying connected to those schools?
So in the spirit of this podcast, while you wait, that's assuming that you're probably waiting to
Yes.
hear from some schools, and you may want to communicate with them, and that's a good thing. Schools want to know how interested you are. They do want to know that. There's some different ways you can do that. You can send a letter of continued interest, and so oftentimes this is filed on your application by the school that you send it to, just stating that you're interested, and you can give as much or as little information in that as you would like. You can say something like, I have my top 3 schools, I've heard from 2, I have this scholarship from 1, I really want to hear back. Sometimes there's dates involved, like I need to hear back by X date. I would caution, only say those things if they're actually true. So as much information as you want to share with the schools, it can be beneficial for them just because they do want to know your interest, and by extension we hope it's beneficial back to you. But yeah, have it be sort of a transparent and open conversation with the schools to the extent you're comfortable. And like I said, a letter of continued interest, you can send that in the form of an email or an email with an attachment. Or you can just send an email asking look, I'm so interested. This is my top choice. This is of my top 3, whatever it is.
Yeah, very simple, straightforward.
I would love to hear back, is there any status? You can ask a question or you can just state that you're interested.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And as we are fielding those emails, we're happy to look at where we are in the cycle and try and respond in a way that we're being as clear
It's
about
helpful.
any timeline or dates that we are hoping to meet, when we think decisions will go out. We're not lying to anyone about when we are expecting decisions to roll out. For as much information as we can respond with that.
Right.
So very simple.
Yes.
And I think adding on to that, if you do have updates, I know we touched at the very top of this, candidates who may still be in school, if you have an updated transcript and you've just really rocked it and you have your all A's or whatever it may be, circling back to those schools, here's my most updated transcript. I'm continuing to, kind of point to how strong you're finishing out school, and also any resume updates as well. We talked to candidates who are securing summer internships or placement for themselves and may have an updated resume. So those documents can be really helpful for us to see how you're going to be spending that time leading up to starting law school.
Absolutely. And other things you can do while you're waiting to hear from law schools kind of wraps into what you can do while you wait to start law school. And that is read the things you enjoy.
Yes.
Have
fun.
Spend time
Enjoy your life.
with friends and family.
Yes.
And, just do some activities that provide that balance. Those will become very, very important while you're in law school, to have that balance and things that can be like, stress reducers, fun activities.
Yeah. I think, you can let yourself off the hook. You have done so much to take the LSAT or the GRE, to, submit these applications. Like, waiting isn't a bad thing. You can give yourself a little bit of break. You've taken yourself most of the way there. And unfortunately, the final thing is like, you're just gonna have to wait. The what to do while you're waiting is the answer is wait.
Yeah.
Again, if you're looking for things to fill your time, but also, there's just gonna be some downtime. You've done the work, and you really are just going to have to kind of sit there, and maybe you're like perpetually refreshing your inbox to hear back from some of these schools. But really, as we are now in 2023, and I'm just gonna say like early spring, we're still in winter, but most decisions will be rolling out, I think, from most schools leading up to those deposit deadlines. So you'll be hearing back from most schools, hopefully.
There are a lot.
Very soon. And I say soon meaning, over the next couple of months.
I will give a caveat to that, though. A fair number of schools, including WashU Law, are rolling decisions. So students who apply, in May or over the summer, all the way up until, I want to say like August, there is it is a rolling decision process. Each and every individual applicant is assessed on the merits of their individual application.
Yes.
So that is a way that schools are different. But a lot of people will hear decisions this spring for sure.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes.
We are very much, mid-cycle, whereas some other schools may be towards the end of their application cycle. And so definitely looking at that as a data point as well. We continue to take applications. We continue to review all applicants and those, through the summer as well, leading into August.
Yes.
I believe the last LSAT we take is the June LSAT. And so, it's not too late. But, everyone is going to have a different wait time, ultimately, depending on when you get that application submitted.
Absolutely.
Anything else, Naomi, or should we wrap it there?
I think that is a great list. If you have any questions or if you want to send in a letter of continued interest, you can always email us.
You want to still apply to WashU Law?
Absolutely. You can send an email to applylaw@woostel.edu. We're always happy to be of help, and you can find lots of ways to connect with us also at law.woostel.edu online.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't ever feel like you're bugging an admissions office by checking in, by calling, by email. That's our job. We love talking to you all, especially ones that want to be here fall 2023.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Naomi.
Thank you, Anna. Thanks for joining us, you guys.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.